Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips podcast with your geeky host, Lindsay Wheeler, where we talk about everything from death, preparing for your future through estate planning, life, the occasional breakup, entrepreneurship, general nerdery, and of course travel, snowboard, and always wine. Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips with your host, Lindsay Wheeler, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about the hidden costs of death, which are a lot. People think that if you're going to pass away, that it's going to be easy peasy for you and your family, but unfortunately, everything has a cost, including death. So let's talk about what happens when you die. A lot of things happen. So of course, you have to have the paperwork to get you, taken care of. You're going to go to the medical examiner, of course, regardless of whether you pass away at home, whether you were in an accident, whatever it is, you're going to go to the ME because they want to make sure that that paperwork is done and that you didn't die because somebody murdered you. Okay. From there, then you are released to where your family or you want to be released to, like a funeral home, a mortuary, a crematorium, whatever it is, composting place. I don't really know how that works yet, but you are then released there. From there, these things cost money. Everything is a business in this country, and they're usually run by private financial institutions, if you will. And it's big money in dying. There's big money in living, there's big money in dying, a lot of big money. So who takes care of that? Well, you can prepay for these things now, and you can, like buying a car or whatever it is, you can lock in today's rate, which is crazy to think about, that you can lock in today's rate for your death. That is one way to do it. That's how they get you in. They get you with them at their facility, and they get you on today's price, which is a very attractive thing because, of course, prices go up. So think you're not going to pass away for 50, 60, 70 years, hopefully. If the minimum of that, and they're going to get you in today's rates because in 50, 60, 70 years from now, who knows what that looks like with inflation, with the cost of living. Those could be quite expensive for your loved ones or for you down the line. Of course, nobody wants to think about this. Do I want to pre-purchase my funeral? No. Do I want to pre-purchase my cremation, my burial, and my composting? Absolutely not. Nobody wants to pay for that right now. But again, we live in a world of which the only guarantee in life is you're not going to make it out of this one. So let's make sure that that's taken care of. Again, you can pay for that, or you can have your loved ones pay for that at the end, which that is oftentimes a shock for your loved ones that, cool, you have lived this great life, you're now passed away, they're grieving, they're having to deal with maybe if you pass away in an accident, how horrific that is. It was sudden, it was not expected, or if you're older and you're now transitioning, nicely out of this life, but you didn't take care of these things for them, they're going to be not so happy with you, frankly. It's quite a shock to then have somebody pass away, and then you're looking at thousands of dollars of bills to just dispose of you, let alone all the expenses of your life that they also have to take care of. So this is one thing that you can, again, lock in today's rates and take care of it for them, as opposed to them having to take care of it for you after the fact, and then them being, frankly, a little pissy with you for not handling that for them. So that's how that works. You can, again, like I said, lock in those rates with these institutions. You can have then your family take care of those after the fact at that day's rate. So 40 years from now, they're probably paying 40 times what that would have cost for you to take care of it now at that one price. So when you pass away, and you have to be taken care of with your body, if you will, there are hidden costs that you may not think about. Transportation fees, storage fees, having them keep you refrigerated, that's a cost. Makeup's a cost. Clothing you can be a cost. They're not that they're nickel and diming you, but they're nickeling and diming you on everything that happens after you're not here, because again, it's a business. So there are costs for you. Do you want to be buried? There's the casket cost. There's a plot cost. There's many different institutions that you have to deal with, or your loved ones have to deal with, to get your wishes fulfilled. So again, not only are you coming from the medical examiner's office, you're then now coming to the mortuary or funeral home who's going to dispose of your body, if you will, either hold you until you can be buried or cremate you, or take that time until you can be cremated. Do you want a viewing of yourself? Do you want an open casket? Or do you want a whole like a funeral and then a celebration of life? What do you want to have done with yourself? These all add up. If you want to be buried, casket costs. They range from a wooden box all the way up to the Taj Mahal, if you'd like that kind of style. You can have the most extraordinary, extravagant casket that you can think of. You can have your tombstone or your burial plot or whatever it is. That can range from the bare minimum of maybe a couple thousand all the way up to hundreds of thousands. You want a mausoleum? Do you want a tomb built? What do you want? Do you want it marble? Do you want it granite? Do you want it to be all these different components that you get to pick and choose, frankly, which is kind of fun. That's one other thing that you have control over, that you can pick and choose, as opposed to leaving it for your loved ones to handle after the fact. So also, if you're like me and you travel a lot, the likelihood of me passing away in a foreign country is probably pretty high. So what are the costs associated with that? If I want to come back to my hometown and be buried here, cremated here, spread here, who pays for those costs? There's transportation costs, there's international tariffs, there's airplane costs. Maybe you get cremated over there and then brought back here. All of those things are taking into consideration, and of course there are institutions here that can take care of that for you for a flat fee, and we can go over what those fees look like to do that as well. So now let's talk about the actual costs. I have a price list here from one of our local facilities. They're wonderful. I've worked with them. They're really great, but we're going to go through the actual cost of these things at today's rate. So this is going to be fun and entertaining. Definitely need some wine for this one. Okay, so our basicness. So say you have passed away, we need to keep your body in a good state to decide what you want to have done with yourself. So with that, we have what we call refrigeration. The minimum for refrigeration is $395. Okay, that is deaths who occur in this region, if you will. If it's a surrounding area and the remains have to be cared for or stored in a dignified manner at a different facility, that refrigeration cost may go up because there's transportation involved. If you want to be viewed, there's a fee for that, of course, because you're basically renting their facility for people to come in and to be able to pay their last respects before an actual funeral. This is usually a viewing is for more family members, more personal, more intimate at that way. That again is another $395. Say you want to have a better, more involved funeral at their facility, that's another $700 basically there. What else we got going on here? So that's just kind of basic, you've just passed away, we have you refrigerated, and we're going to have you viewed. With that, there are additional costs usually to prepare you so you don't look like a dead body. So they're going to put some makeup on you, they're going to make you look, hopefully as natural as possible of your natural state after being, passed away and refrigerated for some time. With that, you can also be embalmed, which will prolong your corpse state, if you will. Embalming is kind of a interesting method. Basically, they're going to drain you of all of your fluids and those items, if you will, and they're going to put in like a resin or a chemical to preserve you. So you're kind of plasticized at that point, because then we can keep you longer out and about, if you will. So that's kind of an interesting thing that happens there. Transportation costs, getting transferred to the funeral home itself or the mortuary from the medical examiners, another $595 or $600. And then if they're transferring you from a different funeral home, that gets a little bit expensive. That's about $1,400 to get that transportation done for you. So say you have a viewing or a funeral at a different location, and now they have to bring you back to the mortuary to then process you for your wishes, either for, burial or cremation, composting, if you will. That's another $1,500. If you want to go to a different place, that's another $1,800. So that's interesting there. If you want an immediate burial with no viewing, no ceremony, the minimum cost of that is $27.95. Okay, immediate burial with casket or container provided by you, so that pine box, that cardboard box, or whatever, is that minimum of $27.95. It goes up to $17,000. And the reason for that is that we have, those built-in costs. We have that refrigeration, we have that transportation, additional costs if you want to be embalmed, if you will, and that's for immediate burial with no viewing, no ceremony, what have you. From there, we have direct cremation with a basic container. Cremation is usually a bit more affordable because they're just basically sticking you in that oven. They're going to cremate you, then, squish your remains. Also, like my video that we had before, if you have any medical hardware, they're going to pull that out and recycle that. Again, when you come out of that crematory oven, you are in chunks. So they're going to put you in the squisher, and they're going to squish you down and get you into a nice ash-like consistency, if you will, or cat litter, as they also is referred to, and then put into either a container that you have pre-purchased from them or that you have provided, your family has provided. Big Lebowski style, we can put you in a Folgers can if you want to, as long as there's a lid to keep you close. That is $2,100, so $2,000. Direct cremation with cardboard container, no interior or anything like that, that's $1,700. If you need to be expedited, it's another $500. The witness cremation fee. This fee includes the use of the witness room to view your loved ones before the cremation process is started, allowing families peace of mind that their loved ones' wishes are followed. So you can view them as they put you into, or they can view you as they put you into the oven, if you will. That's $400, FYI. Delivery of your remains, another $150 or whatever. If they have to ship you through FedEx or UPS, that's priority, and that's going to be expensive. Domestic shipping is $195. International shipping is $600, FYI. Then we have, that's just for our basic stuff. With that, you have the paperwork that goes along with you being buried, cremated, composted, if you will, and that is expensive. So we have documents that have to be provided. Death certificates are usually $10 to $20 per certificate, and when you deal with someone's death, there's a lot of paperwork that goes along, and these institutions want a certified death certificate. So usually very minimum, order at least 10. So you're looking at another $200, if you will, there. There's a scattering fee. So if you're cremated and you want to be scattered, that's another $125. From there, so those are your kind of basic. So to be cremated, put into a receptacle, nothing fancy, you're looking at a minimum of around $1,500 to $1,700 just for that. From there, if you would like to be buried, the minimum that we have is we have a cardboard container with no interior, nothing fancy, $300. If you'd like a basic container, which is cardboard as well, but has a wood grain finish so it looks more natural, with a pillow and a liner interior, that's another $700. If you would like a mattress interior for yourself so your body is comfortable, that's another $900. Or if you want a a little bit more plywoody balsa wood, something that's a little bit more sturdy than a cardboard, then you're looking at about $1,200 there. From there, if you want an actual casket, like we see in the movies, or if you've been experienced, knock on there, there's silver, there's gold plating. They can basically start from $1,500 and they can go up to as much as you want to pay. $15,000, $20,000. Let's look here. So we have a basic mercury gold. It's a 20 gauge steel exterior, sunset gold, saddle bronze finish, rose stone crepe interior. Very pretty. $36.95. Or if you want to go up there and you are fancy, you want look here, we got the Supra. Let's go over this. 48 ounces of bronze, brushed natural gold finish, Arbutus, not really sure what that is. Velvet interior, so you're on the cozy little Victorian, velvet interior, $15,000. Yeah, these are a lot. Who pays for that? You can prepay for that, again, lock in your prices, or your family is going to have to pay for this after you're gone. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you put in your wishes that you want the Supra semi-precious metals traditional burial casket, and they're having to pay $15,000 plus all the other additional fees that we talked about on top of that, they're going to be pissed. Let's see what else we got here. I looked it up just now. In Nevada, we have cremation, we don't have cremation in Nevada. We do have cremation in Nevada, but we also have a new thing of composting. So you can be composted. The basic package here, the earth package, if you will, is $4,000. That is coordinating with the local funeral home, collection from a local airport if you're being transported, earth soil transformation, that is them composting you and their way, the soil returned to your family, or 5 impacted trees planted with you. That's kind of fun. And then access to a portal, I guess. The benefits of this is it's apparently simple. It's transparent. It's carbon neutral for you hippies out there. change your mind within 30 days of purchase and refund the full amount paid. I'm not really sure how that would work. Are you already composted at that point? Are you in process? Are you decomposing at that point? No idea. A lot of these also offer payment plans, of course, because again, it's a business. They're going to offer you a payment plan with a percentage rate, of course, of getting that taken care of. The composting is pretty interesting, actually. So those are your options. Again, you can be buried, you can be cremated, you can be composted. There's water composting in Nevada as well, which some states have too. And there's also alternative methods of taking care of disposing of your lifeless corpse. I had one client who wanted to be placed at the forensic farm in the south, which is super cool. So you can figure out time of death for things, certain bugs that are on you, different insects, or your decomposition of your body can tell the forensic teams when they find a body in the woods or somebody's been murdered, there's a serial killer, when hopefully time of death occurred. So that's a kind of a cool thing that she opted for there. You could be donated to science, of course, all of that can be done. So there's alternatives that you can look into for your burial or cremation or composting or harvesting of your body, if you will. So many often different types of options there, different prices as we went through, anywhere from the bare minimum of about $1,000, $2,000 all the way up to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, if you will. The average that I have seen is around $3,500 for a very basic cremation. That's usually the average I see. The general amount is usually around 10 to more, depending on what you want to have done, particularly if you want to be buried. Because not only are these just the process of your body being transported now you have your burial cost. That's a whole other institution that you have to deal with because they're the land people. Also, if you have a burial plot, your family owns that land. It's an actual deed to that plot where you're going to be. So if you pre-purchase that, it's just like a deed to a house. You own that parcel of land, and you can sell that if you want to in the future as well. So those are kind of all alternatives and the prices or the hidden prices of death that we don't often think about. Also, that transportation fee. If you were to pass away in a foreign country, there's a fee for that. There's a company that will pick you up anywhere in the world and take you where you want to be. That's usually around $1,000 that you can pre-purchase and lock in as well. So different alternatives and hidden costs of dying. I love wine. Today we're drinking this beautiful Cabernet Sauvignon from Meadowcroft Winery in Sonoma. They're based out of Sebastopol. They are a nice, more family-oriented winery. Tom Meadowcroft owns the Meadowcroft wine. They're very eco-friendly with the bees. That's why they have the label there. They want to save the bees because the bees pollinate everything and make everything great. And that's how we get all of our food, frankly, in this world, is by bee pollination. So this is a Napa Valley 2022 where they source their grapes from. It is a very nice balanced wine. Of course, I always say they're balanced, but it is. It's got good fruit. It's a good Napa wine representation of it. This one particularly is not too jammy. Sometimes Napa wines can be really jammy and heavy and overwhelming. This one is nicely done. Doesn't make me feel like, just had a, grape salad in my mouth. So good wine, great winery. Check them out. Meadowcroft Wines out of Sebastopol, Sonoma area, and enjoy your wines. So with now understanding how much death costs and the hidden costs of it, who pays for that? Obviously you would pay for that. Again, you can lock in that rate. I like saying that because it's hilarious to me. That you can just lock in today's rate for your death, everyone. Yeah, it's a little weird. But with that, so that's why an estate plan is very important with that, because you can set aside or earmark money for that. So say you want to have the super casket? Yeah, the super fancy one. You want that, you can make sure that you have earmarked money in your estate plan for that. You can have a whole wish list of the things that you want and the money allocated for those wishes in your estate plan, and your successor trustees or your executors are going to have to follow those wishes, which is kind of fun. So you want to have a celebration of life where they play this playlist and these, food served and all these kind of fun things, and it's like a big party. You can already pay for that, and you will earmark that money away for you in your estate plan. And that's why it's important, because now your people have that accessibility to those funds to fulfill your wishes if you haven't already pre-purchased those things. Again, of course, you can pre-purchase them, have them in your estate planning binder right behind your burial cremation instructions, your declaration of remains, to make it easy for your loved ones to understand and go, oh, how nice of them. They have already prepaid for this. It's already taken care of. I don't have to stress or worry about this for them. That is such a gift for your loved ones, because let's be real, they're going to be sad that you passed away. They're going to be grieving. That's a difficult thing to deal with. And then to have to go into these institutions, these mortuaries, these funeral homes, which again, they're very compassionate, wonderful people, but to sit down and look at a price list for someone's death, like, that sucks. That's harsh. It's very cold and unfeeling, and doesn't give good feelings to go through a price list. It seems very pedestrian, if you will, of somebody's just died and now I'm looking at a price list and picking and choosing out of a price list. That's not fun. It's not fun. So if you can do that for them and have it already taken care of, that's one less thing that they have to deal with through your estate plan that you've taken care of for them. So they are able to breathe, they are able to take that time, they are able to grieve your loss without having to go and sit into a cold room and look at paperwork, look at prices, shopping your death. Don't do that to people. You can take care of this ahead of time, and it doesn't mean that you're going to die tomorrow because you've done this. It just means that you are being proactive and taking care of these things for your loved ones, your children. It is such a gift for them, and I'm going to emphasize it again. It is such a gift to have these things taken care of for your loved ones so they don't have to do it for you. With that, again, you're locking in those prices. It's so bizarre. And taking care of those things for you. So that's kind of that process, if you will. So you'd make an appointment with the mortuary, you'd go in, you would get to make these decisions. Because maybe you want to be in the Supra and your kids are like, nah, we're going to put you in the, I don't know, the tin box over there. That's the cheapest they can afford. And that's not really where you want to be. That's not your wishes. So it's just, maybe you didn't want to be cremated, but that's the only option that they can afford at that time because you didn't give them that accessibility to take care of that for you. So you get to decide another thing for your life and your afterlife, frankly, which is pretty cool. So with that, if you want to be, buried, we have talked about the cost for those caskets, the Supra, whatever it is. But also when you get cremated, you might want to be put into a fancy urn. My friend's dad is in the, it's like a urn from the Haunted Mansion at Disney World, because that was a thing that they did together, which is pretty fun. My other friend's dad is in a wooden box. So you can pick and choose what you want to have done. Other people have their ashes put into an actual plot at the cemetery, maybe with family members or other family members that are close, that they'll put them all together in that family plot. You can, of course, also scatter them, but double check your state laws on what those requirements are, because you can't just walk into like a Home Depot and spread dad's ashes because he loved Home Depot so much. There are requirements of that because it is technically human remains. So keep that in mind, but you can also put somebody into, like I said, a receptacle that of your choosing, again, like that Haunted Mansion or the box, or you can purchase those urns from the mortuary or funeral home, and those can get pretty pricey as well. You can go from the bare minimum of a couple $100 up to a couple $1,000, multiple thousands of dollars for those urns as well. With that, you can do some fun things with ashes or somebody's fingerprints, for instance, because that's unique to them. They can take the fingerprints from the body and make them into jewelry, a necklace, rings, whatever it is, bracelet, what have you, as a keepsake of that person. They can also take those ashes and infuse them into jewelry. So maybe you want a ring made of that person or a necklace or whatever it is. There are many different companies that do really cool memorial items or trinkets, if you will, for you to have that person with you. So options on that. Again, those can also be kind of pricey, so double check on those. And again, you could pre-purchase those for your family as well. So say you pass away and you don't have anything in place. You don't have a will, you don't have the very minimum. Again, you're still going through probate with the will, but at least it gives direction. You don't have an estate plan, you die what we call intestate. That means with nothing. Who's going to pay for this stuff? Because you're not here and your body's still here, and we need to do something with it. You now have not taken care of that for your loved ones. You have not pre-purchased anything. You have not provided an estate plan where they have accessibility to your funds to take care of these things. Your loved ones are stuck with this bill. They may be able to be reimbursed in the future, but they're going to have to come up with a couple grand to take care of you right now. That's harsh. Don't do that to them. Again, money's tight for people. So if you have the ability to set them up so they have accessibility to your funds to take care of your wishes, Great. That's how we do that through an estate plan. You could maybe put a beneficiary on an account, but technically that would just be their money and they can do what they want with it. They don't have to pay for your funeral as a beneficiary. That just becomes their money. Oftentimes they will pay for your funeral out of that because they're going to have to pay for it anyways, but technically they don't have to. So that's why estate planning is important, because you can make sure that there's immediate accessibility to funds. There's maybe a separate account that's set up for your funeral, life, celebration of life or whatever, and they'll have accessibility for that. So the pros of having that estate plan is you're again taking one less thing off of their plate for them, or one more thing off their plate for them to deal with. Cons of not having it is, holy shit, they're going to have to take care of all this for you. They're going to have to come out of their pocket to take care of these things. They're going to have to pay for these things. They're going to have to go through the price list and do all that heavy lifting that you have neglected to do for them. So with the actual hard costs of death, there's also the emotional costs of death. Nobody likes death. It sucks. It's hard. It's difficult. It's sad. I just had a recent situation with a close friend who had to deal with this, and it is awful. And depending on the situation, it's most ideal that if we can bury somebody or somebody passes when they're 98 years old and they've lived a good full life and they are surrounded by their loved ones and they pass peacefully in their sleep, or surrounded by their loved ones, that's the best we can ask for. Unfortunately, life happens, and that's not always the most ideal situation that happens. You're having to deal with children passing away, young adults passing away, your parents passing away in maybe an accident or a horrific, way. That's difficult in any situation. So not only is it difficult for somebody to pass away when they're 98, surrounded by their loved ones and friends, but that's more of a natural process. I think we feel more okay with that yes, we can rationalize that they lived a long life, and yes, we're going to miss that person, but it's their time. They've lived a full, long life. When that is cut short, that's not the natural progression. That's not the natural way. And that is difficult for anybody to deal with, whether that's personally, friends, family, even strangers. We're all compassionate, and we want to feel compassionate toward people, or compassion toward people. So when someone passes away unexpectedly or in a tragic or maybe more violent manner, that's difficult, and that's a cost for everybody. And depending on who's passed away, that person will never leave you. That grief will never leave you. And I think it's disingenuous for people to say, oh, well, you'll get over it, or it'll get easier. In some circumstances, it will never get easier, ever. It just won't. And that's the harsh cost and reality of our life and people passing away from us. So particularly if they don't happen in a natural, loving way, then that grief will never leave you. It might get easier for you to deal with your day-to-day life, but that will always be there, unfortunately. And that's the harsh cost of being a person in this world. So thank you for listening to this wonderful, uplifting episode about the costs of death and the hidden costs of death, if you will, that people don't think about. And again, if you're going to, live in this world, you're going to die. Again, spoiler alert, it's the only guarantee, you're going to die. So make sure that you can take care of those things ahead of time, which is cool because, again, if you get to plan your funeral, how fun is that? You get to plan your celebration of life. You can take the burden off of your family by taking care of these costs, these hidden costs, so they're not having to deal with it when you pass away or unexpectedly pass away. So take care of that for them, get your estate plan in place. And if you have questions about that, I can definitely help you with your estate plan online or at High Sierra Legal. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine. As always, we have to get the legal stuff out of the way. I went to law school, so you don't have to. However, we have to read the special disclaimer that I am not a practicing attorney. I am not your attorney. I am not offering any legal advice in any content or any episode. All content is for your information and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for seeking your own legal advice from your own attorney or other professionals such as a CPA or financial advisor. I cannot give legal advice and do not offer any legal services or legal advice, but I do offer some fun and educational content for you to enjoy.